Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Gatty Crypto here. So if you haven't noticed already, there has been an L1 position open up on it's the Oversight Committee, and we'll get onto that shortly. But I've had so many DMs, I've had so many people reach out to me on Telegram, and I've had a lot of people that have tagged me in the actual post itself. And I thought, there's a position available. I've always wanted to be part of pretty much... There's always been this issue that surrounded transparency, and we've spoken previously about my opinion as to how things were with Terra Rebels previously, and I didn't ever want to see that happen again. So I think a position like this opening up really does appeal to someone like myself. So let's go over to the post. We'll go through the post and we can have a chat about it afterwards. So Lunk community, there is an opening on the L1 Task Force Community Oversight Committee. We'd like to have a representative for the validators join the group. If you'd like to be on the committee, reach out to me and we'll make sure that you're on the voting list. The community will get to vote on who they'd like to see in the role, and we will post the vote next Friday. The vote will be secured so each individual can only vote once. We'll leave the vote up and running for a total of 5 days, which should give everyone lots of time to vote. Think of the L1 Task Force Community Oversight Committee role as being similar to a role akin to an election observer. The role is there to bridge the gap between the L1 team and the community at large to ensure that the L1 task force is running in a transparent manner. This is really good because I love transparency for the simple fact that I left Terra Rebels because of the lack of transparency, all these different kind of factions popping up and people kind of going off on their own paths, creating hoodies, cups, lotteries, and all these different things that we really just didn't need. We needed fixes for the problems in hand, not just merchandise and things like that. But it became very money driven. There was a huge lack of transparency, and positions like this, I feel, should go to people that aren't actually afraid to ask the questions that need to be asked and not try and hide things for the greater good, so to speak. So, like I said, lots of people have contacted me about this, and I hope they do this vote in a manner where it's transparent. People can actually only vote once, because we know there's issues with people being able to create multiple accounts many times over. So I hope the voting is done in a very careful manner and thought out very carefully, because it's so easy to get things wrong, and then people start questioning everything from that point onwards. So the good thing about this is they're allowing the community to vote a person in. All the person needs to do is actually get in touch with Lunk Burn Army through Twitter, like they're saying, to get on the list. I think you need to be on the validators list as well. And I have contacted them. I've asked for a little bit more information if they can provide any about the role itself, and then to pretty much consider putting me on the list, because I would like to see if the community would like to vote someone like me in. This is why I think it's fair, because the community have such a good understanding of who's actually putting in a lot of work and who's really kind of loafing around on the side, who's here for their own back pocket, and all these kind of different stuff. Developers don't tend to see near 80% of the kind of back and forths, the things that have happened previously in the past and all sorts of stuff like that. We have seen this. So I think the community has a good idea of who should probably be on this and who should get this role. Now, whoever does get it, I hope they have a really good understanding of LUNC and they can provide this area where there is going to be this gap that they need information kind of transferring to and from. And this, once again, the role really does speak to me, because I wouldn't say I'm really good at distributing information, but I pride myself in educating people and trying to explain things to people instead of going on this whole clickbait mindset and just trying to moon people into things, saying, it's going to go to the moon, hang in there. Instead, we're trying to explain to you the stages of things, that it just takes time. But this is really good. Another thing to get really excited about, because it just goes to show that the L1 task force themselves are making the correct steps to do all the right things. And this is why I said we're on the right path recently, because everything just seems to be going much smoother. It seems like we've oiled the gears, we've got the grit out, and things are starting to move. And like I said in my podcast with Duncan, instead of cleaning the trash out of the ocean, we can just stop it at its source. We can stop the trash going from the rivers into the ocean, and it's always better to address things like this at their core. And when this whole change has happened, we funded these new devs. I just feel like the 150k is already well spent at the point that we're at. And, you know, I think that went for around 6 months. I think that's around 6 months worth of work. By that time, should have enough to pay them again, to do it all over again, and to keep these developers and this L1 task force and everything like that where it needs to be. So hopefully this is an unpaid role. And if it is a paid role, then I'm just not going to take the payment. I'm just simply going to say, you know, put it towards the development, similar to what people are doing with their validators by sending, I think some people are sending 25% to the L1 task force. I would do something like that because of the simple fact that it would make information for this channel a lot easier for us to, when information's readily available, how Jared presented it recently, it's so easy for someone like myself to break down that information and put it into sections because we don't need to go through and fact check you know, there's so many different things. When you're going through, you're having to trawl through all of these different kind of conversations. You don't have direct lines with certain people. You don't know what's going on over there. You don't know what's going on over here. Whereas with this kind of thing, information's relayed to you, and then it's then down to you to relay that information out correctly and provide that back and forth between them and the community. So I think this is really good. There's a lot going on at Luna at the moment, and I'm seeing a lot of different posts as well, like with people saying, you know, I'm really bullish on Luna. They're developing so much. And I think this is going to be something that people start to realize more and more and more because we're now involved with Station. Does that mean that Luna Classic is dead? It's dying. It's not going to get any love or anything like that? Definitely not. Our path is pretty well laid out now, especially with this new L1 task force. We know where we're going, and we're starting to realize what tools are actually available to us to utilize. You've got different people working on USTC repegs and all these different things happening. That what I was saying in this podcast earlier today is that if we could figure out as the LUNC community how to fix USTC, we can actually become more or less the centerpiece once again to the cosmos because of that algorithmic stablecoin that's part of Columbus 5. And it really is as simple as that. Now, these are all good things to be very excited for, and just the fact that we spoke about microtransactions and the whole GameFi sector that leads to these huge amounts of microtransactions, and people sit there and sometimes question it, but you need to kind of compare this to other coins. So if we look at Shiba Inu, everything they're working towards currently is their metaverse. Everything. We've got 2 of them, plus an MMORPG, which is play to earn. So if they're pushing towards that, and we also have 3 projects like this that are pushing towards a similar thing, yet we've got all of this manpower to work elsewhere, surely this is positive things. I can't see this being a negative in any way, shape or form. It only seems like from now, things should just start to get better. From what we can see, I think Lunar Burner Knights are launching their early access. Exodus have already done their early access and they're pushing forward. Metagloria won't be far behind them. And it just seems like 2023 is going to be a year where you start to see all of these different projects start to blossom. Even Lunapunks, I'm sure they're releasing a project really soon. So really excited to see what their next step is, considering they had such a bad time throughout the crash, and helping them the way that we did with the HTC community to build back up that treasury with all the different auctions and helping out the way that they did. It's so nice to see them prospering, getting further, and then being able to continue to build and provide more stuff for their community. And that's what it's all about, working together to push towards this ultimate goal of where the gears are just not grinding. Someone's not sprinkling sand in it to grind it all up, and we're all just kind of working towards the same thing. I think it's really good, and I think people are starting to work together more instead of dunking on each other all the time. They're just sort of going, you know, we could make changes here, we could make changes there. And, you know, people are starting to meet in the middle. There's becoming this middle ground where people are realizing we just need to work together. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section. I really think it's going really well, but let me know what you think and just stay safe. Sorry there was no live today. I was going to go through the Jared AMA thing, but I think a lot of people have watched it now. Let me know in the comment section if you haven't. We could always do that live this weekend. I'm more than happy to sit there and we can listen to it. We can have a chat about it and we could just go through things together. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. It really does help support the channel. It helps us grow and it does help us reach more people. The same as clicking the like button. And just stay safe, guys. None of this is financial advice, and we will catch you in the next one.
Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you.